And joining me now is Republican Representative from Georgia, Richard McCormick, who serves on the House Armed Services Committee and Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, thank you for being here, especially during breaking news this hour. So I want to get your take on what we have just heard in Hannah's report and all of this escalation that's going on.
Well, first of all, realize that the history of Iran is much more moderate than it's become in this theocracy, this autocracy that basically our overloads of these people have given them squalor, have put themselves at odds with every nation in that region. They've exported terrorism. They basically support the Hamas, Houthis, Hezbollah. They export terrorism around the world. They're a bad influencer. I would love to see that regime toppled by their people, and I would love to see us support that movement quite frequently. It would benefit the entire world.
You know, Iran has framed the protests as foreign instigated, with their supreme leader urging Trump to, quote, focus on his own country. The Iranian parliament speaker warned, quote, in case of an attack on Iran, the occupied territories and all U.S. bases will be our legitimate target, end quote. Do Trump's statements risk escalating tensions with Iran? And if so, how do you think Congress should step in? If so.
This is not the only president that's been threatened by Iran. We've been threatened by them for decades.
Right.
They've been rattling their sabers. They've been threatening us, and they have killed American troops through proxies, through Hezbollah and the Houthis, the Hamas. They've reached out and they have bombed U.S. bases hundreds of times, and we have lost even Georgians, National Guardsmen that are deployed abroad. So don't think this is anything new. Don't think that they've ever not wanted to harm the United States. As a matter of fact, their own leadership, their own theocracy has called us the big Satan, someone to be wiped off the face of the earth, just like Israel. They're the little Satan, we're the big Satan. Don't ever think that they're friendly to us. And this is not escalation. This is a continuation of their hatred towards the rest of the world.
Well, we continue to monitor all of it. And while I have you, I want to turn to Venezuela. President Trump is set to meet with Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Machado this week. Another important story that we're following. The State Department is urging U.S. citizens at this point to leave Venezuela amid reports of armed pro-Maduro militias tracking Americans. So obviously deeply concerning. What steps should Congress demand from the administration at this point to ensure the safety of Americans in Venezuela? Because we're hearing the call to get out ASAP. So now what?
Well, I think it's been a tricky place to live for a long time already. We are heavily engaged. We do have some amazing special forces. The brief that General Kane gave to us last week was phenomenal. The Secretary of War, basically the head of the CIA. We had every kind of department head present, including Rubio. It was an amazing brief. We do have incredible leverage over them right now. I don't think they're going to do anything to, matter of fact, they're releasing prisoners they had previously. They're working with us well. The question is, how do they get back to a democracy, a legitimate government that supports the people rather than lords over them? This is really important in the Western Hemisphere. I hope they can get it straight, because they used to be the second highest GDP per capita. I used to train with Venezuelan Marines in the early 90s. And they were amazing people. Think just like we do. It's a horrible thing to see them deteriorate into a dictatorship with extreme poverty.
Well, as we move on to what's happening here domestically, I've got to ask you about this since I have you. We want to turn to Minnesota, where dozens were arrested during the protest in Minneapolis. So I want to get your take on all of it as a whole, and how you think the administration can address and de-escalate the ongoing anti-ICE protests nationwide. Obviously, we've been seeing the pictures from some of our major cities and Minneapolis as well. Minneapolis was just swarmed yesterday and again today. We've seen it in other cities across America. How do you think this is going to play out? What can be done to let these protesters go on peacefully and as they have their right to do so, but to de-escalate it at the same time?
Yeah, they have the right to do that, but they don't have the right to impede law enforcement officers from doing their job. Their job is to deport people who are here illegally. And that's the American law. If you don't like the law, talk to your legislature about changing the law. But if they are federal officers enforcing the law, and you're talking about people who not only here illegally, but people who are stealing billions of dollars from the American taxpayer, that makes the whole rest of us all very angry. And that's what this fight is about. Is what is justice? Is justice getting in the way of a federal officer enforcing the law that we have passed through a democracy, through a representative democracy, or is justice sticking up and being violent and actually going against ICE officers who are trying to do their job because you don't like a policy that a president that you didn't want to elect got elected? That's what this comes down to. And I know that a lot of these cities are heavily Democratic. They're taking it personal and they're making this about Trump. It's not about Trump. It's about the law. If you don't like the law, change the law.
All right. And coming up later in this hour, we're going to be speaking with Michael Gould, a former NYPD officer who has firsthand experience in something that happened very similar to him when we come up later in the show. I want to thank you, Republican Congressman from Georgia, Richard McCormick. Thank you very much for joining us and being on the program today.
Thanks so much. Semper Fi.
Thank you.